Hello, health champions. Today we're going to talk about the #1 absolute best way to cure Candida. Most people associate that with a yeast infection or yeast overgrowth, which is correct. The three top places where that happens are vaginal infections, skin or nail infections, and it can also occur in the mouth, where it's called oral thrush. You may notice a white coating on the tongue. In 1986, the book Yeast Connection was published by Dr. William Crook. I always laugh a little bit about a last name like that. I'm sure he can't help it. It's kind of like a dentist named Dr. Payne. It just makes things a little harder. Anyway, it was a pretty good book. I read it many years ago, but it oversimplifies things a bit. I think it's somewhat outdated. It basically claimed that yeast causes everything, and advised avoiding yeast in all its forms. To this day, people are terrified even of good yeast, like nutritional yeast, which is essentially a B vitamin supplement. Just like with bacteria and other parts of the biome, it's all about balance. There's good and bad, and the bad isn't really bad if it's not allowed to overgrow. As long as we maintain balance, the bad stuff serves a purpose as well. However, it can become pathogenic if things get out of hand. Overall, Candida is becoming more common. The numbers are increasing, and there are more than one kind, 31 different species of Candida. But 5 species account for 92% of all infections, with the most common being Candida albicans. That's the one most people have heard of. Even though the overall numbers are increasing, the percentage of Candida albicans is decreasing. The reason for that is we have antifungal medications, and Candida albicans is quite susceptible. It's easy to kill off. In contrast, some of the other 5 species are more resistant. It's similar to antibiotics. If you kill off the ones that are easy to kill, you will develop more resistant strains and create imbalances in other ways. We need to be careful with the standard way of thinking about this. Ever since we discovered bacteria and viruses, the standard idea has been to kill everybody because we figured out that these pathogens cause disease. But we need to understand that this is about balance. Anytime we kill off one thing, we favor something else and create an imbalance. We need to start thinking about the body as an ecosystem, where Candida is part of the overall microbiome. We should consider the microbiome as a separate organ. It lives inside your large intestine for the most part, but there are some bacteria in other places as well. The total weight of these bacteria is several pounds. If you add it all up, it's about the size of your liver, and it likely performs just as important a function. When things get out of hand, it's similar to the liver, which can get a pathogenic infection like hepatitis. When we get an infection in the gut or an overgrowth of something, it's just like having an imbalance among the beneficial bacteria that make up an organ. We can get an overgrowth just like we can in the liver. The solution is not to kill off the whole liver or the entire microbiome. We have to be very careful. To understand the bigger picture, we need to know what causes these imbalances. The #1 factor is sugar and starches, because they selectively feed these primitive organisms. The most primitive are viruses and bacteria. If we consume a lot of sugar, we tend to favor them and create imbalances. Another risk factor is uncontrolled diabetes. Why is that? Because in uncontrolled diabetes, there is an abundance of available sugar for these pathogens. That's what diabetes is, a metabolic disorder where you're filling the body with more fuel than you're burning. Stress is another factor. What does stress do? It puts your body in a state of emergency. If a bear is chasing you, that's a bigger emergency than the food in your stomach. So anytime you're stressed, you decrease the priority for digestion and the immune system. It's like turning off the faucet on the resources that help you digest food and produce immune cells to fight off pathogens. Stress shuts off all the factors that make your gut work. Some common causes are medications, such as antibiotics and antifungals, which kill indiscriminately. They don't care if it's good or bad bacteria. The goal is to kill off the pathogens, but in doing so, we also kill off a significant percentage, or in some cases, most of the good bacteria, and then we have to start from scratch. Some other medications, like steroids and birth control, are strongly implicated in yeast overgrowth. Now, let's think about what it means to cure it. For the most part, if you go to the healthcare system, they'll try some medication. I'm not opposed to medication, there's a time and place for it in emergencies. However, using it for imbalances may backfire. First, the medication itself can have side effects, and anytime we try to change an ecosystem, we can encounter complications. The main thing to understand is that the root cause remains, and therefore, we will likely experience recurrences or other problems. Even though this is so simple, we spend over $4 trillion on so-called healthcare, and the vast majority of that money is wasted because we don't understand the very simple basics and principles. We need to think about the conditions in the body that provide opportunities for these pathogens. By definition, pathogens are opportunistic. We always have billions of pathogens in our bodies. When we're feeling our best, we still have billions of pathogens, but they need an opportunity. When they have that opportunity, they can create overgrowth and imbalance. We already need an imbalance, but then the overgrowth creates a further imbalance. So what are these conditions? They include the things we've discussed. If you have a weak microbiome, if you don't have enough bacteria, think of your biome as your liver. What if you lack sufficient numbers of bacteria? What if you don't have enough variety of species? You need billions, even trillions of bacteria, and a wide variety of species for that ecosystem to be healthy. Another common condition is having too much sugar. With all these conditions present, if we take antibiotics and kill off more of this biome, and then take antifungals, we upset the balance between the fungus. Now we have conditions that provide an opportunity for overgrowth. If we take medication to kill off this overgrowth, we may experience symptom relief, and things may look better on the surface for a short while. But we haven't changed the conditions. If anything, we might have made them worse by further reducing the biome and variety. If the conditions remain, it's just a matter of time before the problem recurs or expresses itself in another way. Instead of thinking about curing with medication, we should focus on restoring and preventing. The number one thing is to stop feeding this overgrowth. Cut back on sugar and starches, because sugar feeds them directly, and starches quickly break down into glucose, their favorite fuel. Next, we want to increase our food variety. We should eat a lot of different kinds of foods. Every time I make a top 10 list of foods, everyone wants to know which is the best food to eat a lot of. We need to stop thinking that way. That's why I create videos the way I do, so we can start thinking about foods differently, what they have in common, and also the importance of variety. The number one thing that feeds good bacteria and maintains balance over time is fiber. We want a variety of different fibers, which we get by eating a large variety of foods. Since stress is a major cause, we should work on reducing it. I've done many videos on that, so you can truly understand what stress is. It's not just about feeling overwhelmed. It's how you condition your body into certain responses. Number 5 is exercise. It doesn't have to mean blood, sweat, and tears or endless hours in the gym. While a gym can be beneficial, we're just talking about movement. Your body is made to move. That's its purpose. It needs to move around in a three-dimensional environment with gravity to stimulate your nervous system. Once you do that, everything in your body works better, including digestion. Exercise is also one of the main ways to reduce stress. Just take my word for it. If you exercise and move regularly, everything in your body will work better. A good way to add some bacteria and improve the biome is through fermented foods. When you ferment foods, you grow beneficial bacteria that you can eat to help repopulate and outcompete the pathogenic and overgrowing yeast. We also want to discuss prebiotics and probiotics, which are supplements people take to try to repopulate their gut. They hear that after taking antibiotics, they've killed off all the bacteria, so they need to take some new ones. This can be very beneficial, but it can also be a complete waste of time and money if we don't create the right conditions. Probiotics are like seeds. If you have the best seeds in the world but throw them on concrete in a parking lot, they won't grow. You just wasted those seeds because there are no conditions for them to thrive. Yes, probiotics can be good and even necessary, but we must think about the bigger picture. We first have to cut back on sugar, reduce inflammation, and create a healthy gut. Then, when we add prebiotics and probiotics, we can grow some bacteria. Probiotics are the bacteria themselves, while prebiotics are different substances, nutrients, and fibers that feed the probiotics. Fiber is actually a prebiotic, just like other forms you can take as supplements. There are also various things you can take, such as apple cider vinegar, oregano oil, garlic, cloves, and tea tree oil. The list of different antibacterial and antifungal agents is endless. These have medicinal properties, but you don't want to try them on their own. You want to work on the bigger picture to create the right conditions. We should especially emphasize apple cider vinegar, or any other vinegar, because acetic acid is a short-chain fatty acid that is very important. It acts as fuel for many beneficial bacteria. If you enjoyed this video, you're going to love that one. If you truly want to master health by understanding how the body works, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell, and turn on all notifications so you never miss a life-saving video.